The alien vampire woman suddenly grabbed me. "My teeth want you, human," she said. The stars around the station burned softly, like quiet eyes watching from far away. The diplomatic station Halcyon Ring floated between three-star systems, chosen because it belonged to none of them. No empire owned it. No species claimed it. That was the rule. Neutral ground for dangerous meetings. Inside the station, the air felt heavy. Elias Morin stood alone in the reception chamber, hands relaxed at his sides. He was not a soldier. He was not a politician either. He was a cultural liaison, chosen not for strength, but for calm. The chamber was tall and dark, built to please alien eyes more than human ones. The ceiling curved like the inside of a shell, glowing faint blue. Strange symbols moved slowly across the walls, changing shape as if they were alive. Elias had read the reports. He knew who was coming. The Scifi. Every species in the known galaxy knew the stories. The Scifi were called many names: night nobles, emotion drinkers, star vampires. They were tall, pale, and elegant. Their eyes reflected light like polished glass, and their teeth, long, narrow, and sharp, were always shown when they smiled. They did not drink blood. That much was true, but they fed on emotional energy, especially fear and submission. Other species felt weak around them, dizzy, afraid. Many could not stand in the same room for long. Humans, according to the data, should have been no different. Elias exhaled slowly and checked the translator band on his wrist. It glowed green, ready. The doors opened without a sound. The temperature dropped. She entered alone. The Scifi woman moved like flowing smoke, her long dark robes touching the floor but never dragging. Her skin was silver pale, smooth and flawless. Her hair was white, pulled back in a style that looked ceremonial. Her eyes, deep red, almost black, locked onto Elias the moment she stepped inside. She smiled. Elias felt it then. A pressure, soft but deep, like someone pressing fingers against his thoughts. His heart beat a little faster, not fear exactly, more like awareness. So this is how it feels, he thought. She walked closer. Each step echoed gently. "You are the human," she said. Her voice was smooth and slow, like warm night air. The translator whispered the words into Elias' mind. "I am Elias Morin," he replied, "representative of Earth." She tilted her head slightly. "So small," she murmured. "So bright, bright." Before Elias could ask, she closed the distance between them. In one sudden motion, faster than expected, she grabbed him. Her hand wrapped around his upper arm, strong, cold. Her other hand came up, fingers resting near his shoulder. She pulled him close, too close. Gasps echoed from behind the observation glass. Human diplomats and alien observers stiffened. Warning lights blinked softly. The Scifi woman leaned down until her face was inches from his. "My teeth want you, human," she said. The chamber froze. This was the moment the council feared, the moment that would end talks, the moment that might start a war. Elias did not pull away, he did not scream, he did not struggle, he simply looked at her. Up close, he could see details no report had mentioned. The faint tremble in her fingers, the way her pupils shifted, expanding and shrinking too fast, the tight control in her posture. She expected fear. Instead, Elias felt curious. "You are nervous," he said softly. Her grip tightened just a little. "Nervous," she repeated. "I am Scifi." "Yes," Elias said, "and you are afraid this will not work." Silence fell between them. The pressure in Elias' mind increased, then faltered, like a wave that broke too early. Her smile faded. "How do you stand?" she asked quietly. "Why do you not weaken?" Elias swallowed. His heart was beating faster now, but not from fear, from focus. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I think you're not here to hurt me." The observers leaned closer to their screens. Data streams spiked. The Scifi woman's breath caught. Slowly, she released him. Elias stepped back, his arm warm where her hand had been. He rolled his shoulder once, grounding himself. "You misunderstood my words," she said after a moment. Her voice was lower now, honest. "The old translation is flawed." "What did you mean?" Elias asked. She studied him carefully, like a scientist examining a strange result. "It means," she said, "that I sense something in you, something powerful, something my kind has not tasted in a very long time." Elias nodded slowly. "You can't feed on us." Her eyes narrowed. "Can't or haven't?" The lights in the chamber shifted color. Data alarms stopped blinking and settled into steady lines. Behind the glass, the council realized something was wrong with their predictions. Very wrong. The Scifi woman stepped back, creating space between them. She placed one pale hand over her chest, a gesture of respect. I am Lady Valeth of the Night Courts, she said, and you, Elias Morin, are not what you should be. Elias gave a small smile. We get that a lot. For the first time she laughed. It was soft, almost surprised. And somewhere deep in the station systems, a single line of analysis updated itself. Human emotional response, unstable, non-standard, resistant. The meeting had only just begun. The meeting chamber did not return to normal after Lady Valeth laughed. The sound was still hanging in the air when the human observers realized something important had happened. No Sithari had ever laughed during first contact. Their records showed fear, dominance, cold control, but never surprise. Elias felt it too. Something had changed. Lady Valeth stepped away from him, but she did not leave. Instead, she walked slowly in a circle, studying him like a rare object found in deep space. Her hands were clasped behind her back now, her movements careful, measured. "You are calm," she said. "Too calm." Elias shrugged lightly. "I was nervous before you came in," her eyes flashed. "And now, he said honestly, I want to understand." That made her stop. The pressure in the room returned, but it was different now, not heavy, focused. Behind the observation glass, human scientists whispered. Alien delegates leaned closer to their translators. Data feeds rolled non-stop across transparent screens. Lady Valeth lifted her hand. "Allow me to test something," she said. Elias hesitated only a moment. Then he nodded. "Okay." She stepped closer again, but this time she did not touch him. She closed her eyes. The air shifted. Elias felt it like a memory, not his own, brushing against his thoughts. A cold city under an endless night sky, tall structures of dark crystal. Long lives filled with control, hierarchy, and hunger that never truly faded. Fear wrapped in beauty. Elias inhaled sharply, but he did not panic. His mind reacted the way it always had, by asking questions. Why are they afraid of us? What happens if fear stops working? The emotional pressure tried to pull something from him. It failed. Lady Valeth's eyes snapped open. She staggered back one step. "No," she whispered. Elias swayed slightly, more surprised than hurt. A human medic's voice shouted through the comms, but Elias lifted a hand to signal he was fine. Lady Valeth was breathing faster now. "This is impossible," she said. "You should be fading, your thoughts should be thinning." "They aren't," Elias replied. She stared at him not as a predator now, but as a mystery. Behind the glass, one of the senior human analysts spoke softly. "Run a full emotional feedback scan," she said. "Compare baseline human response to Sithari influence." The machines obeyed. Lines of data began to form patterns no one expected. Lady Valeth turned slowly, facing the observation window. "You are watching," she said. "Yes," Elias answered. "They're trying to understand too." She considered this. Then slowly she lowered herself into one of the seats designed for non-human guests. It reshaped itself under her weight, glowing faintly. "I will speak," she said, "and you will listen." Elias sat across from her. "For thousands of cycles," Lady Valeth began, "my kind ruled through presence alone. We did not need armies. Fear was enough. Fear feeds us. Fear sustains us." Her fingers tightened slightly on the armrest. "But fear has been fading." Elias leaned forward a little. "You mean other species aren't afraid anymore?" "They are afraid," she corrected, "but not deeply. They adapt. They build barriers, technology, training, rituals. They blunt the edge." Her gaze hardened. "We grow weaker." That caused a ripple among the observers. The galaxy had believed the Sithari were eternal. Lady Valeth looked back at Elias. "When I touched you," she said quietly, "I felt something different, not fear, not submission." "What did you feel?" Elias asked. She hesitated. "Layers," she said at last. "Too many." Curiosity over fear, humor over tension, empathy over instinct. The human scientists froze. "Empathy. That shouldn't protect us," one whispered. "But it is," another replied. Lady Valeth stood again, slowly regaining control. "Humans are noisy," she said. "Emotionally chaotic." "You do not feel one thing at a time." Elias smiled faintly. "That sounds like us." She walked closer, stopping just outside arm's reach. "When I try to feed," she continued, "your emotions interfere with each other. Fear does not dominate, it dissolves." She lifted her hand, palm open. "I am not taking from you," she said. "You are overwhelming me." That was when the truth finally settled in. Humans were not immune because they were strong. They were immune because they were complex. The council chamber erupted into quiet chaos. Data confirmed it. Human emotional patterns were not linear. They stacked, overlapped, contradicted each other. The Scifi ability evolved to feed on single dominant emotional states. Humans never stayed in one state long enough. Lady Valeth seemed to sense the shift in understanding. "This changes everything," she said softly. "For you," Elias corrected gently, "and for us." She studied his face. "Why are you not afraid now?" she asked. Elias thought about it. "Because you're not here to hurt me," he said, "and because if you were, fear wouldn't help anyway." Her lips parted slightly. "That answer," she said, "would terrify half the galaxy." Elias chuckled under his breath. Behind the glass, the lead human diplomat finally spoke into the channel. "Lady Valeth," she said, "are you saying your species cannot feed on humans?" Lady Valeth turned her head slightly. "I am saying," she replied, "that humans are not prey." A silence followed that felt heavier than any threat. "What are we then?" the diplomat asked. Lady Valeth looked back at Elias. "A solution," she said. Elias raised an eyebrow. "That sounds dangerous." "Yes," she agreed, "for everyone." The chamber lights dimmed slightly as the station adjusted power flow. Outside, stars drifted silently, unaware that the balance of galactic influence had just shifted. Lady Valeth straightened her posture, once more the noble of an ancient people. "My kind cannot survive much longer as we are," she said. "Fear is no longer enough." Elias met her gaze. "And you think humans can help?" She nodded once. "You do not give what we take," she said. "You share what you feel." The word share echoed. The human observers understood the risk instantly. Sharing emotions meant exposure, cultural exchange, influence without weapons, soft power, dangerous power. Elias exhaled slowly. "We don't dominate," he said. "We connect." Lady Valeth watched him carefully. "That," she said, "may be why you are becoming impossible to ignore." A warning alert chimed softly. External observers, other species, had requested access to the live feed. They had noticed something was wrong or right. Lady Valeth glanced toward the stars beyond the chamber walls. "They will fear you," she said. Elias smiled, tired but steady. "They already do," he replied. "They just don't know why yet." For the first time since the meeting began, Lady Valeth inclined her head fully. A gesture of respect. "Then we must proceed carefully," she said, "because once the galaxy learns this truth," she paused, "there will be no turning back." The station drifted on, quiet and neutral no longer. Humanity had not fired a single shot. And yet the galaxy felt the shift. The news did not spread fast. It spread carefully. At first, only data analysts noticed something strange. Emotional readings from the Halcyon ring station showed patterns that did not match any known model. Scifi influence curves were bending instead of spiking. Human baselines stayed stable. Then diplomats noticed. Then strategists. Then, finally, the old powers of the galaxy began to worry. On the Halcyon ring, Elias Morin stood by a wide viewing window, looking out at the stars. He had been awake for nearly 20 hours, but his mind refused to rest. Every few minutes, new requests arrived, meetings, interviews, friendly inquiries from species that had ignored humanity until now. Behind him, Lady Valeth stood silently, her pale hands folded in front of her. She looked calm, but Elias could feel the tension around her like a tight field. "They are afraid," she said at last. Elias did not turn. "Of you or us?" She paused. "Yes." The first delegation arrived without warning. The Krell Union, tall, heavy-bodied beings with skin like stone and voices that rumbled through the floor. They had resisted the Scifi for centuries using emotional dampeners and ritual control. Fear had never fully left them, but they had learned to endure it. They entered the chamber with guarded steps. "We request clarification," their lead speaker said, "regarding reports of human resistance." Elias stepped forward. "There is no resistance," he said calmly, "only difference." The Krell speaker's eyes narrowed. "Difference becomes threat," it replied. Lady Valeth moved then, stepping beside Elias. "Not this time," she said. The Krell delegation stiffened. They were used to Scifi dominance. Seeing one stand beside a human, not above, unsettled them deeply. "Our strength has limits," Lady Valeth continued, "and humans reveal them." That was all it took. Within hours, more delegations arrived. The Thessari Clade, masters of predictive logic. The Orin Choir, emotional empaths who feared the Scifi most of all. Even silent observers from species that rarely showed themselves. They all asked the same question in different ways. What are humans? The Human Council struggled to answer. Elias became the center of it all, not because he was special, but because he had been first. First to stand, first to not break, First, to listen instead of react. Scientists worked without rest. They tested human emotional patterns under controlled Sithari influence. Volunteers laughed, argued, told stories, remembered loved ones, worried about dinner plans. The machines struggled to keep up. Human emotion did not spike, it flowed. Lady Valeth observed every test with growing disbelief. "You are never empty," she said quietly, "even when afraid." "That's when we're loudest," Elias replied. The truth became impossible to hide. Humans were not shields, they were storms, soft, layered storms that disrupted everything built on control. This terrified the galaxy. The Sithari High Court sent a message. Lady Valeth read it alone. When she returned, her posture had changed. Straighter, harder. "They are afraid of me," she said, "of what I represent." Elias frowned. "You didn't do anything wrong." "In their eyes," she said, "I did everything wrong." The High Courts demanded her return, immediate, private, final. "They think you've been weakened," Elias said. "They think worse," she replied. "They think I have been contaminated." Silence stretched between them. "If you go back," Elias said slowly, "will you be safe?" Lady Valeth did not answer at first. "Sithari do not kill each other," she said carefully, "but they remove influence." "They silence?" Elias clenched his jaw. "That's not right," she almost smiled. "You say that like it matters." "It does," Elias said, "to us." That was the moment she truly understood. Humans did not calculate morality, they carried it. The galaxy reacted fast after that. Trade routes shifted. Defensive alliances were reviewed. Quiet warnings passed through diplomatic channels. Do not expose yourself to humans too long. They destabilize established hierarchies. They make predators question themselves. Some species pulled away. Others leaned closer. The Oran Choir sent a message of gratitude. "For the first time," they wrote, "we feel safe in the same room." That message was leaked. Fear spiked across the old empires. If humans could weaken the Sithari without weapons, what else could they undo? Pressure mounted on Earth. Demands, accusations, requests disguised as threats. Elias sat in yet another meeting, his head aching. "We didn't plan this," one diplomat said. "No," Elias replied, "but we can't pretend it's not happening." Lady Valeth watched the human delegates argue, voices raised, emotions open, conflicting, and honest. "This would tear my people apart," she said softly. Elias looked at her. "It tears us apart too," he said. "We just keep going anyway." The Sithari High Courts issued a final order. Lady Valeth was to return alone. No humans, no observers, no discussion. She stood in the docking bay hours later, her ship waiting. The light from nearby stars reflected off its dark surface. Elias walked with her in silence. "You don't have to go," he said finally. She stopped and faced him. "I do," she said, "because if I do not, they will come here and that will end badly for everyone." He nodded slowly. "Will they listen to you?" she considered. "I do not know," she admitted, "but I know this." She placed a hand lightly over her chest. "You have changed me and I cannot unlearn it." Elias swallowed. "You're not alone," he said. She smiled, small and real. "That," she replied, "is what frightens them most." As her ship departed, Elias watched until it vanished into the dark. Across the galaxy, systems adjusted. Power shifted. Fear moved from humans to those who had ruled through it. Humanity had not claimed dominance, but the galaxy could feel it now. Something new had entered the balance, something that did not consume, something that connected, and everyone everywhere was paying attention. Lady Valeth's ship moved through dark space in silence. Inside, the lights were low. The walls reflected her image back at her, tall, pale, perfect, and yet changed. She stood alone in the central chamber, hands resting on a smooth black surface that responded to her presence. She could still feel it. Not fear, not hunger, human noise. Thoughts layered on thoughts, feelings overlapping, never settling. The memory of Elias Morin standing calmly while her power failed replayed again and again in her mind. She had ruled rooms before. Entire halls full of delegates had gone silent at her arrival. One human had not. The ship slowed. Ahead, the night court world appeared dark and beautiful, wrapped in artificial shadow. Tall structures rose like frozen waves, their surfaces absorbing light instead of reflecting it. This was the heart of Sithari power, and it was afraid. As Valeth stepped onto the landing platform, the air pressed against her senses. Familiar, heavy, controlled, waiting. The high court chamber was full. Dozens of Sithari nobles stood in perfect formation, their eyes glowing faintly red. At the far end, raised above all others, sat the circle of elders, ancient, still, hungry. Valeth walked forward alone. You were ordered to return, the first elder said. You have done so. I have, Valeth replied. You were ordered to return unchanged, said another. That you have not. A ripple passed through the court. Valeth lifted her chin. I have learned, she said, that is not the same as weakness. The pressure hit her all at once. It was not pain, not attack. It was emotional force, pure dominance meant to strip will and identity. Valeth staggered. And then she did something no Sithari had ever done before. She breathed through it. She did not push back. She did not submit. She remembered Elia's laughing softly. Humans arguing openly, fear failing to rule them. The pressure cracked. The court went still. That should not be possible, an elder whispered. Humans, Valeth said steadily, do not feed us, and we cannot feed on them. Murmurs turned sharp. They are a threat, one noble hissed. They are a mirror, Valeth replied. They show us what we have become. The elders leaned forward. You advocate for prey, the first elder said. Valeth's eyes hardened. They are not prey, she said. They are immune to us not through strength but through complexity. Silence. Fear no longer sustains us, she continued. We are starving and pretending otherwise. That word, starving, cut deep. The elders felt it too, the slow decline, the weakening influence. The growing effort required to dominate. We could isolate them, an elder said, destroy their influence. Valeth shook her head. You cannot destroy what does not submit, she said, and you cannot rule what does not fear you. A long pause followed. Then the first elder spoke again. You are changed, it said, and change spreads. Yes, Valeth agreed, that is the point. Far away on Earth, Elias Morin sat in a quiet room, staring at a blank screen. Communication delays meant he did not know what was happening. Only that the galaxy felt tense. Watchful, reports came in hourly, trade freezes, diplomatic withdrawals, quiet warnings. Humanity was being tested not by force but by isolation. Some on Earth panicked, others argued. Elias listened. They want us to react, he said finally. Fear us, fight, prove them right. So what do we do? A council member asked. Elias thought of Valeth standing alone. We stay human, he said. We keep talking, we keep sharing, even if they don't answer. The decision was made. Human ships carried art instead of weapons. Music instead of warnings, stories instead of threats. Some species refused them, others listened. Back in the night court, the elders reached a conclusion. You will remain, the first elder told Valeth, but you will not speak for us. Valeth bowed her head slightly. I expected that. You will observe, the elder continued, and you will report. Valeth smiled faintly. Observation, she said, is where change begins. The elders did not like that answer, but they allowed it. As Valeth left the chamber, she felt it again, quiet, distant, but present, human noise. Hope. The galaxy stood at the edge of something new, and for the first time in its long history, fear was no longer in control.